I started looking at the real definitions of foreclosure. If anybody sat down and really read the laws and all of the old English definitions and all that of foreclosure, okay, doesn't necessarily have to do always with real property. You can foreclose on personal property. So, of course, studying foreclosure, the next thing you're going to do is jump into replevins. So I started looking at the different replevins, and then, of course, replevin indefinite, which, I mean, it's just, it's a logical linear thought of going from foreclosure to replevins. And I'm like, oh, shit. See, we've got something going on here that I think we're missing. I don't know, and we've got to study it. And if you want to study on something and help me figure this out, we might have something here. We might, and I think we really can, but I'm not sure, we might be able to file a case against the banks to foreclose on the note. The note's personal property. It's not real property, but foreclosures can be against real property or personal property. Now, when you look at a replevin, and I don't even know why I came up with this or how real it is, but boy, there's something here. Okay. Replevin indefinite. Replevin action. Okay, you know what? Does everybody know what a replevin is?
Repossession.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically like Latin for wow.
Reprieve.
That's whoa, don't do that. That's weird. That'll give you a headache, actually. An action whereby the owner or person entitled to repossession of goods or chattels may recover those goods or chattels from one who is wrongfully distrained or taken, who wrongfully detains such goods or chattels. Everybody know what chattel is, right?
Yes.
You chattel. Sorry, I'm not.
Just take away the H, we're all cattle.
There you go, pretty much. Replevin, alright, replevin, just think of it as a fancy word for repossession. There's a little more to it, but that'll give you the gist. Replevin action in case where defendant rightfully obtained possession of property, but wrongfully detains it. Now, replevin sepit, obviously the opposite. Replevin action in case where defendant has both wrongfully taken and wrongfully detained the property. Okay, so here it is. Did the bank rightfully gain possession of the note?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course they did.
Think about it, guys. Did the bank rightfully gain possession of the note?
Yes.
Yes.
Initially.
Yes, because they gave you the house for the note. Are they rightfully detaining the note, withholding it from you?
No.
Well, it's arguable. If they foreclosed, can they in any way, shape, or form rightfully be detaining the note? Because what does the law say? If you take the house, you have to return the note. It's UCC 3-402. So here's the argument. Like I say, this is not cut and dry. If they took the house, then yes, it's cut and dry. They better give back the note. And a replevin indefinite action would be called for. So would an action for fraud and blah, blah, blah. So let's take this just a little bit farther if we can. We all agree, and we're right, that the bank captured that note lawfully and correctly by purchasing that note with the transfer of the house to you. You had possession of the note, they had possession of the house. And they really didn't have possession of the house, but close enough for legal terms. So you guys went like this. And that was all correct, right?
Yes.
Note for the house, house for the note. Now we have this long chain of bullshit, confusing circumstances where somehow the note was altered or modified or piecemealed or pulled and serviced or secured. Excuse me. Something happened to that note. Now, if we do a replevin indefinite to acquire that note, what is their argument going to be?
Give us back the house.
That the note belongs
Could be.
to them and not to us.
Oh, okay. Both good arguments. What are they going to have to do to establish that it's not our note and they're not wrongfully detaining it?
They have to produce
That's
it.
the
Show
house.
it.
That's the producer.
Or
Show that you don't
Show
have
me
it.
the law.
Or give you back the note.
or prove a valid chain of custody and therefore legal possession. Can any bank prove legal possession of the note?
No.
Not a fucking chance in hell. Ain't gonna happen. Do you see where I'm going with this? There's a problem. Now, we tried it, and let's knock it off with the pens, please. It makes it hard to concentrate. We tried it with, we did a test case with Cindy over suing under the law that requires good care and custody of the note. And it's been all kinds of problems because we were just kind of throwing stuff out there. We needed to get court decisions on things. It was almost like a fictitious action. I needed to find out what the court was thinking. So we spent the money, we wrote up the pleadings, and we filed this whole separate court case. Nobody else has done it. I just needed to know things, and so I had to kind of screw with the court. And we've learned a lot. The point being that in order for them to argue under replevin indefinite action that we're saying give me back the note, they're saying no, here's why. They got to spell it out. They've got to spell out. They can't just say here's why. It's here why, colon. And then they got to spell it out. They somehow got to say that they have rights. Possession is 9/10 of the law minus replevin. When they sue us in a judicial foreclosure state and they come after your property, they're basically, although they don't use the Latin because the courts are really getting away from it, there's some jurisprudence for why, but they're basically doing a replevin action. And businesses do replevins against each other all the time. You know, like one business will sell this stuff over here to another business, but, you know, that stuff that they're buying still in the garage, they're suing to get it back because they bought this business, but it hasn't brought it over yet. And that business isn't taking the time and their own money to deliver shit they already sold. Replevins just, they're out there on a regular basis. But a foreclosure is by, in its own nature, truly a replevin action of some type. So, we're doing the same thing to them that they're doing to us. They're doing a replevin to capture the house. They're saying we don't lawfully have rights to the house. So what do we got to do? We got to say, yes we do, and here's why. And we got to spell out everything. So if we were to sue them under a replevin indefinite over, or indefinite, over the note, they would have to say, no, it's really our note, and here's why.
Because we sold it and then they got nothing.
Well, okay.
Because it's not their note
But here's the thing, how did they get the note?
from us.
With what?
They traded us for the house.
That's right. Can they bring up the deed of trust?
No, it's a separate issue. Yeah,
Break
time. Exactly.
That's a problem for them. This could be something, it's something we need to understand. Because if we go after the note, and they want to keep the note, what are they going to do?
Give you the deed instead.
But it's not the same thing. But the note's not attached to the deed. They can't use the deed of trust argument.
We're gonna have to compromise and give you what you want, what they want.
Just be done with it. Yeah. And Rich is over there doing the formal invocation of break time by throwing change on the floor.
Okay.
So one last question, yeah, Jay.
So if you're talking about a previous property that they've already foreclosed on, and I turn around and say, give me the note in exchange for the house, can I sue them for the note?
Oh, hold on, city coffee too. Oh.
That'd be fair.
I'll just get the food. I'll have somebody else get coffee. Yeah. See, that's the whole thing. And they don't have under replevin in DeadNet. They got the note correctly. They did. There's no argument there. We're not going to argue that. They're not going to. That's why it's not a replevin in SEPIT. It's a replevin in DeadNet. Because in SEPIT means they took it wrongfully and they're keeping it wrongfully. Here, they took it rightfully, but they're keeping it wrongfully. So yes, you file a replevin in DeadNet action against them, they're going to have to return the note. Here's the problem with it. Hold on just for a second, John. Here's the issue with that. What follows the note?
Deed of trust.
Okay, good. What?
Deed of trust.
No, it doesn't. They don't have anything to do with each other. Please, never say that in here. The note has nothing to do with the deed of trust. But what follows the note? If they take your house, does the landscape that you put in there come with the house when they take it?
Yes,
What about the paint?
everything.
What about
The air.
all fixtures attached to the walls?
Yes.
Okay. So, in a note, what must go with the note?
All the fractionalization, all the money.
I'll do this again.
Repeat that.
All the payments.
Fractionalization.
All the fractionalization. Everything they made from the note.
Wow.
This could be something that they're not going to want to see in court. It's never been done before because I just thought of it Friday. But it could be a real problem for them. Because now, what if all the people that have ever been foreclosed on file replevin and DeadNet actions to get back their note?
Take down the Federal Reserve.
Maybe that's
Thanks.
martial law will be enacted.
That sounds like it's fairly simple to do. That's not complicated. It doesn't sound complicated.
Would you fucking stop that?
I'm just saying, sir.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Would you fucking stop that? All right, let's take a break.